This is Kay Kritiques. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Kay Kritiques, where we discuss all things South African television. In today's episode, we are discussing Law, Love and Betrayal Season 1 Episode 2, titled The Mind of the Possessor. Without any further ado, let us get into this video. So in the previous episode, we left off with Gugu negotiating with Gatsha about her getting hired, but we never actually got to see whether or not he did hire her on the spot, or were they negotiating, or what happened. So in this episode, they kept us in suspense a bit because it started off with James and Ayanda walking into the office. Ayanda is gloating to James like, yes, I am representing the Mokwenas, and James is like, well, you can't do that because I've already signed the DNP property group in order for me to represent them, so we can't work on the same case. Like I was saying, that it is going to be a conflict of interest, and Ayanda is livid because she thought she had a one-up on James, but she didn't. As much as they've painted her to be this cunning, smart and savvy woman, it's starting to feel like maybe she doesn't really have her hand on the ball like she's supposed to. James is arguing that the DNP property group has deep pockets. Ayanda's like, but they took their land where their forefathers were staying. It's not right. We should be representing the Mokwenas. And they're busy arguing, and we find out that the Mokwenas are here for a meeting. So then that automatically makes me think that, okay, Gugu was hired and they're here to meet with Gugu. Gatsha takes them into the boardroom, and Ayanda quickly finds out that Gugu is the one who's going to be representing the Mokwenas, and she is placed on assisting duty. Now, Ayanda starts to come off as a spoiled brat a little bit. This is my father's company. How can he just let a nobody take this case? Blah, blah, blah. Why must I assist her? She wants to call the shots, and Gatsha's like, if you want to be a leader, you're saying you want to be in charge of this company one day, but you're not acting like it. And Ayanda sort of speaks on, I hope you're not doing to Gugu what you did to Ayanda, which is the ex-wife that we saw in the previous episode. And I'm here wondering, what did he do to Andile? What happened? How did they meet? How did they get married? And what caused their divorce? Right? But he said he did his due diligence and that she's on probation and stuff like that. So now Ayanda and Gugu are having a power struggle. Ayanda wants to assert her dominance. Gugu's not playing that game. She's like, listen, I'm the lead on this case and she's assisting me, so why must I follow her shots? Tell her to come to me. I'm not going over there, and it's a power struggle, and we see the power dynamics. And I did say in the previous episode that these two have a similar personality, but I really do hope that they become friends. I feel like they would do great things together as friends, being together, being united, female power, black girl magic. We finally get to see Trevor Williams, Ayanda's ex-husband, and he is key. They didn't even try to make us like him. In the previous episode, Gatsha was the one saying that Ayanda was cheating a lot. She couldn't keep her pants up and stuff like that. And you're thinking, okay, maybe Trevor isn't such a bad guy and Ayanda's the villain in this story. No, he's just unlikable and unbearable. Like, he was on my screen for 2 minutes and I was like, I'm getting the ick. Now, before we get into the Mokwena case, I just want us to breeze past Lwazi having a case of divorce. Her friend comes into the office with the son, and James has to look after the little boy. We see James kind of being off. We see him being like, ooh, I don't like kids. What am I supposed to do with a child? We see him being averse to children. I feel like he's also averse to commitment, like he doesn't want to commit to somebody. That's why he's very happy playing the secret rendezvous with Ayanda, because it's never gonna go anywhere. And also looking after the child is like, I don't want children. He seems like that type of guy who's just like happy being single, right? As time goes by, he starts to soften. He speaks to the boy like, it's not your fault that your parents are splitting up. Adults have their own issues. And it makes me think, well, James's parents divorced, or were they fighting a lot? What happened in the home? What made him such a commitment for what made him to be this Casanova, this player, this F-boy. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like there's a deeper story there, and they're setting it up so that we can actually explore that later on as the season goes. And I'm very excited about how they putting little Easter eggs and little plot points that we have to go back to. And then also we have Gugu's boyfriend. I still do not know his name. He receives a call from Modiadie. I do not know who Didintle is. We don't know who Didintle is, but I'm suspecting that the boyfriend might have a side chick. It could either be that, or it's his sister, or it's his mom. We'll have to wait and see. Now, let us get into the Mokoena case. This big case that we've been working towards from episode 1, we're now getting to explore it. And honestly, I like that this case concluded in this episode. We're not gonna go through this entire case over the next few weeks. It concluded there and then. They do not have any hard evidence. They do not have any eyewitnesses on this plot of land for generations who could actually advocate and say, we've been living here since this time and we lived here during this time. But they do say that they have marked graves. There are graves there where their ancestors are buried. So by the time they're going to look for the graves, they find that the DNP property group has already placed barbed wire and is not allowing people to enter. The security guards are beating them up, and it's just a whole big case. And they're like, why didn't you tell us that they wanted to do this, because we could have gotten a court interdict? So now they're rushing to go to a judge that they know, that Ayanda's family knows, you know, like, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, and they actually get the interdict, so now they're allowed to go in, right? We also see, while all of this is happening, Fez finds out the value of the land, and it amounted to I think about 300 million. And Gatsha comes in and he takes the info and he's like, I'm gonna give it to Ayanda. But did he give it to Ayanda? Because by the looks of things, it's like he wanted Ayanda and Gugu to fail. I don't know. I just got that feeling while I was watching that scene that he just wanted them to fail. Like, he didn't want Ayanda to succeed. I don't know if maybe he really just wants James to be senior partner, but doesn't have the heart to tell Ayanda, or he's sabotaging his own daughter because he hates her, or because he likes Trevor. I don't know what's going on. So now we're at the court case and we see the opposing lawyers. They're coming in and they actually have a letter, which is a transfer of property from the chief magistrate or something like that, where Chief Motusi, who we're assuming is the chief of that time, or the chief who was alive during the time of the Mokoenas living there, he signed over their land for 1,000 rand in 1973. And look here, in 1973, 1,000 rand was a lot of money, but also at the same time, it's like they knew that the value of that land was more than 1,000 rand. And also we have to look at, there were some black people who were selling us out, selling all of that land, selling off somebody else's land and not informing them for 1,000 rand. But then DNP is like, listen, we own the land, we have rightful ownership of the land, but we're willing to give you guys 2 million rand. Now at this point, Ayanda and Gugu do not seem to know that this land is worth 300 million rand, because if they did, they would have probably negotiated a higher price, because Gugu was literally guessing that land is probably worth 10, 20 times more than that. But if she had seen that paperwork, she would have known exactly how much the land is worth. So then that confirmed to me that Gatsha did not give them that paperwork. He goes to them and is like, take the settlement, you already lost the case, just take the money and let's move on. And Gugu wants to contest the letter. She wants to fight for more. But Gatsha is so adamant that just take the money and do what I say, you know? And I feel like Gugu's that type of person that when she's like a dog with a bone, she's not gonna let things go very easily. And I also feel like she just doesn't like to lose. So this had to have hit her hard, because this is the case where she told him, I'm gonna do everything to win this case, and I'm gonna show you that I can actually do this. But then in her first case in the company, she's settling. It's a conflicting place to be, but at the same time, you want to listen to the guy who's hired you and actually take the settlement. And the Makwenas were happy, so who are we to judge, right? They're like, Gugu, Mabaso. That song annoyed me so much in the beginning, but by the end, it was stuck in my head. Gugu, Mabaso. Oh my word. And then now, everybody's out at the bar. James is like, I'm buying. They're going out for shots and all of that. And everybody's having a good time. And I feel like Gugu's finally being accepted. Her and Ayanda actually got closer. And I feel like it also has to do with them spending time working the case and also them just speaking about general life things. Where Gugu was asking her, like, what did you ever see in Trevor? What was your relationship like? And she was like, well, we work long hours. And Ayanda was actually warning Gugu that your relationship might suffer because you're going to be working long hours, you're going to become more successful, and also stroking the male ego all the time. You're not even going to have time for that. And Gugu was like, my man understands. And Ayanda was like, sure. Trevor also understood in the beginning. He also understood. And where's Trevor's a lawyer, so he should understand more than anybody. And I feel like that conversation that they had, where women fighting their way to power, fighting to be recognized, and there are two black women, and they're very similar because they really, really want to win. They want to go all out. They really do want to achieve big things. So I feel like they also resonated on that. And he's gonna get salty. He's gonna get salty at the end of the day. And I feel like Didintle is still gonna play a role. I don't know who Didintle is, but Didintle is going to play a role in this story. And I still feel like James. As soon as James saw Gugu in this episode, he was like, coffee girl. Maybe I was right. But we'll just have to see. Now we are at the last scene, and we see the man who's in charge of DNP Property Group toasting with the chairperson of the Makwenas. And they're happy and they're like, well done, my friend. I'm so glad that we could work things out. And you feel like they were both in on it. So the chairperson of the Makwenas was on the DNP Property Group side this entire time. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I feel like I was so confused during this scene. I didn't understand how all of this worked out, because in the end, Gatsha was also there. And now I'm confused. They're toasting. They're like, if the three of us keep on working together like this, then we're gonna make a lot of money, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, but what is actually going on here? How does Gatsha benefit from this? He lost the case and they won 2 million, so they're gonna get maybe their share of the 2 million. What's going on? And I feel like maybe Gugu's gonna find out about this. But yeah, guys, that is Law, Love and Betrayal season 1 episode 2, The Mind of the Possessor. Please do let me know your thoughts about this episode in the comment section down below. Please like this video if you watched till the end, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.